Okay, so now I'm gonna make a quick tutorial on how to make objects, which is one of BTB's most infamous features, which most people get, I don't want to say wrong, but it's mostly unoptimized for most things. So anyway, right now here I'm in the FinTele stage, so I'm gonna explain basic things. So here we have this the objects, which is here, and we have several types of objects, ways of laying them down. We have one by one. We can just take this, for example, select here, and all it's gonna add is that one selected object. So we can, for example, if we want to add various type of objects one by one, we can, it's gonna cycle through them when they are selected. So that's useful, or we can just select them all and it's gonna add them all that way. That's one way to do it. The line, which is, just we draw a line, we have to select them. We draw a line, it's gonna draw them like this with the separation, it's in meters. And the jiggle is basically like the horizontal movement of them. Separation and the movement, we can have a 3-meter jiggle, 4, and it's gonna jiggle them and it's gonna add them in that separation. This is basically like a drawing line, so you draw and it's gonna follow the mouse and it's gonna go like that. And we have the lasso, which is basically we select a area where it's gonna add that, like that. The density 100, terrain only, which this is road, this is terrain, so it's gonna only add to terrain. And minimum separation, it's basic. And adding to a road sector. So this basically the same as this, but it's gonna, you select a road. For example, I have in the FinTele stage, it's a lot of road sections, so I just select one, and this is good, for example, for grass. Minimum separation distance from the road, from the center line to maximum, and it says here the amount of objects it's gonna add. So that is that. Also for the randomness, say we're gonna add other stuff, and here let's say the trees, and I want to add them in a lasso. And the randomness override is going to override the default settings, so you can play with this and make them go bigger on the Y, on the X-axis of the object. Rotate them, the randomness of rotation, the depth of planting, plantable depth, how far down they're gonna go from the origin point. And this is basically how objects are added. Now, one thing, we go into the edit mode, and let's say I have here all separated. This is basic to keep an organization, because in BTB, as we know, collisions, for example, I select this and this object has only these options available, but if I go here, this has collisions on, but this doesn't. So what I basically do is just separate them in all this mess, because it is a mess, but it has an order. So basically I have collisions here. So if I select this and using the hide unselected option, now here I have this selected, now all disappear but those objects selected. So if I go up here, collision start, and to the bottom here, and I press Ctrl A, and it's gonna select all those objects that have collisions on. Or for example here, it's gonna select all those which also have collisions on, and so on and so forth. For example, bushes, Ctrl A also, and these are here, and it's gonna select only the objects in those like sections. So that's a way to keep it organized. And if you are adding an object For example, let's say here, this near to. These are the grass. This is the grass. This is using the option of roadside, this. So I select the type of grass I want, and so you basically go like that. And here, add. Now select road C and add, for example. Now if I go here and edit, it's gonna be near to tree, and if I Control A, it's gonna be all those trees right here, like that. But one thing that is important to keep in mind is that this is too much. So what I basically do is lower the density to, like, let's say 22. You know, let's go here, select all this, delete them here, and I go add. There you go. You have the same density as if it was 100, but in 4 sections. And now to modify the loading distance, basically you go, okay, let's say these ones, I want to load them in 200 meters. This, I'm gonna go in 300 meters. This, say 350, and this. Oh, one thing, you always have to press Ctrl A to select them all. So basically this 300, and here 350, here Ctrl A, and here let's put it at 400, for example. So now what I have is a sequential loading of all the trees. So they're gonna loading in sections instead of all of them by one, which is one thing that impacts a lot in performance. And let's say I want to change the scale of all the trees. So one important thing is when you're using Ctrl A to have the hide unselected option on, or else you're gonna select all the objects in the project. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, Ctrl A, I have here, if I uncheck this, it's gonna be 9,000 objects, which is all the objects, and I don't want that. But here, only the trees, and I can change their scale, for example, like that. You know, however you want it. And also we have the rotation. Now you can rotate them, all of them, pressing Shift or not. To move them, to move all of them, you press Shift and move them, and you move them all. Or if you want to move only one, you just only move one. Another thing, what else? To split objects, you select objects. Let's say, for example, I wanna, get rid of this section right here. Select them. I have them selected. And if I split them, it's gonna be a split. And here I can have it and change the name for trees stuff thing, whatever. And now it's gonna be its own separated section. So if I go and select this right here and hide them, it's gonna be like that, or like this. And that's the way. For example, I'm gonna cycle through this, and yeah, that's a way. Also for collisions, you see them popping on and off. All the objects, the grass, the stuff, is gonna be popping in and out. The houses, the grass, it's all in separated. And this is basically to keep it organized and make it easier to modify. Let's say you have one thing that is wrong, let's say like this. The spectators, you wanna change them, it's easier to have them like organized in only one section. And also for collisions, pressing Ctrl A and disabling the options or enabling them for collision objects, having them on, rescaling them, and basically using all of these and changing the LODs this way to make it a sequential loading instead of all those objects loading at once is very important to keep performance, because if you have all these objects loading at once, which is what they're going to do if they all have the same LOD. But if you have them one at 200, one at 300, and so on and so forth, it's the proper way to do the LODs, to loading distance, level of detail, whatever you want to call it. And that's how I do it. For the grass, for example, I have it in the near to grass, or for example the draws, these ones, I don't know where they are. Yes, this is very unorganized. But here you go, like these are these. This is very badly organized, but you get the point. So basically having it organized, having it separated, and being able to just press Ctrl A and modify some stuff, because most things you don't want to have collisions. Or let's say you want to add the collisions as in the collision objects, like a pole, and have a very low LOD 4, which is all you need to have it work. And that's it. Thank you.